Have you ever had a family member say something about your child that you can never unhear? Something so cold it changes how you see them forever? And what would you do if it happened on Christmas Eve, the one night that's supposed to be about love? My name is Lauren Mitchell. I'm 34 years old, a project manager, and I live in Ohio. I'm also a single mom. And until last Christmas Eve, I truly believed that family, no matter how messy, would never intentionally hurt a child. I was wrong. It was December 24th, around 8:30 p.m. The house smelled like cinnamon candles and half-burnt sugar cookies. Christmas music was playing low in the background while I wrapped the last present at the dining table. My daughter Emma, she's 11, was on the floor beside me, carefully labeling gift tags in her messy handwriting. That's when my phone lit up. My younger brother's name. I smiled at first. I figured he was calling to confirm plans for tomorrow morning. Christmas brunch. Family photos. The usual chaos. I answered, still taping paper. Hey, what's up? He didn't say hi. Lauren, I need to be clear about something, he said, voice flat. No warmth. No holiday cheer. I stopped wrapping. He continued, tomorrow's Christmas Eve dinner is kind of a big deal this year. We're doing it at Mom's, extended family, neighbors, the whole thing. I waited. My stomach tightened. And listen, he added, lowering his voice like he was sharing insider information. You're welcome to come. Obviously. But Emma probably shouldn't. I blinked. What? She's just not really important to the event, he said. We want the focus on our kids this year. I swear my ears rang. My child, I said slowly, is not important enough for Christmas Eve? He sighed, annoyed now. Don't make this dramatic. It's not personal. It's just how it is. How it is. Emma looked up at me, sensing the shift. Her smile faded. I whispered, did you seriously just say that? Lauren, he snapped, you're always too emotional. Don't ruin Christmas over this. Then he hung up. Just like that. The room felt colder, even with the heat blasting. I stared at my phone like it had personally betrayed me. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the tape dispenser. Emma stood up slowly. Mom, was that Uncle Ryan? I swallowed hard. My throat burned. Yeah, baby. She hesitated. Did I do something wrong? That question punched straight through my chest. No, I said too fast. Of course not. She nodded, but kids know. They always know. Her shoulders slumped just a little, like she was bracing for something she'd felt before but never named. I texted Ryan one sentence. We won't be coming tomorrow. Then I put my phone face down. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Mom. I answered on speaker because my hands were still shaking. Lauren, she said sharply, already irritated. Why are you being difficult? Ryan said you're refusing to come over. He told me my daughter isn't important enough to be there, I said. A pause. Then she laughed. A short, dismissive laugh. Oh honey, you're misunderstanding. He meant exactly what he said. I cut in. You're too sensitive, she replied. It's Christmas Eve. Don't start problems. Emma silently walked to the couch and curled into the corner, hugging a pillow. I looked at her, then back at the phone. I'm not starting anything, I said quietly. I'm ending it. She hung up on me. And that's when the family group chat exploded. You're overreacting. It's not about Emma. Stop making everything about you. One cousin sent a laughing emoji. Another said, it's just dinner. Emma peeked over my shoulder, reading. So, she whispered, they don't want me there? I locked my phone and pulled her into my arms. They don't get to decide your worth, I said. Ever. She nodded against my chest, but her breathing told a different story. And right there, on Christmas Eve, while the lights twinkled and the music kept playing like nothing was wrong, something inside me shifted. Hold on, before we get into the real stuff, I want to know, what are you doing at this exact moment while hearing my voice? Cooking, driving, lying in bed. I love reading your answers down below in the comments. Because what happened next didn't just change Christmas. It changed our family forever. Christmas morning showed up whether I was ready or not. Sunlight crept through the blinds like it always does, soft and innocent, like the world didn't just punch us in the gut 12 hours earlier. For a second, just one, I forgot. Then my phone buzzed on the nightstand, and everything came rushing back. Group chat notifications. Missed calls. Passive-aggressive holiday guilt wrapped in red and green. I didn't open any of it. Instead, I lay there listening to Emma breathe from the other side of the wall. That slow, steady rhythm kids have when they finally fall asleep after pretending they're fine. I got up quietly and went to the kitchen. Started coffee. Pulled the cinnamon rolls out of the fridge, the ones we always baked Christmas morning before heading to my mom's. I stared at the box for a long second, then shoved it back in. No pretending today. Emma shuffled in a few minutes later wearing her reindeer pajamas, hair sticking out in every direction. She tried to smile. So, are we still doing Christmas? She asked. That nearly broke me. Yeah, I said, forcing energy into my voice. Just different. She nodded like she understood, but her eyes kept flicking to my phone on the counter. She was waiting for me to say we were going over there after all. Waiting for the miracle fix. It didn't come. We opened presents slowly. No rush. No audience. Just us. She laughed at the fuzzy socks I bought her, held up the art set like it was treasure, hugged me tighter than usual. But between the smiles, there were gaps. Quiet ones. Around 10 a.m., my phone rang again. Mom. Again. I stepped into the hallway and answered. Merry Christmas, she said, but her tone was tight. Performative. Merry Christmas, I replied, neutral. You're really not coming? She asked. No. A sigh. Heavy. Dramatic. Lauren, everyone's asking where you are. You're embarrassing us. I laughed, a short, humorless sound. You're worried about embarrassment? Ryan didn't mean it like that, she snapped. You're blowing this out of proportion. He told me my child doesn't matter, I said. On Christmas Eve. Silence. Then softer now. You could at least drop Emma off for an hour. Let her see her cousins. My chest went cold. So she can sit somewhere she's not important? I asked. Absolutely not. You're punishing her to prove a point, Mom said. No, I said. I'm protecting her. She hung up. I stood there staring at the wall, hands clenched, heart racing. When I walked back into the living room, Emma was pretending to be busy arranging her new markers, too busy to notice my face. Too polite to ask. Around noon, social media started blowing up. Matching pajamas. Big tables. Kids tearing wrapping paper under a massive tree at Mom's house. Everyone tagged. Everyone smiling. Everyone but us. Emma caught a glimpse over my shoulder. Oh, she said quietly. They're all together. I turned my phone face down. Hey. How about we do something fun today? Just us. She shrugged. Like what? That shrug? It wrecked me. 11 years old and already learning how to lower expectations. We could drive around and look at Christmas lights, I suggested. Get hot chocolate. Blast music way too loud. She thought for a second. Can we go to that park with the huge light tunnel? I smiled. Absolutely. So that's what we did. We bundled up, piled into the car, and drove with the windows cracked just enough to let the cold bite our cheeks. Christmas lights flashed past us like little reminders that joy still existed outside that family bubble. Emma laughed when I sang off key. She leaned her head against the window, watching the lights blur. For a couple hours, it almost worked. Almost. When we got home, there was an envelope taped to the door. My name written on it. No stamp. Just tucked there like someone didn't want to knock. Inside was a printed invitation. Christmas dinner. Tonight. 6 p.m. Formal. Catered. Adults only. No Emma. I felt something snap. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just clean. Emma watched my face change. They still don't want me there, do they? She asked. I knelt in front of her and took her hands. No, I said honestly. They don't. She nodded. Then she surprised me. Okay, she said. Then I don't want them either. That night, while my family clinked glasses and pretended everything was perfect, I made a decision. And by the time Christmas Day ended, they were about to learn something they never expected from me. Because Christmas was over. But I was just getting started. The thing about being the quiet one in a family like mine, people assume you don't have teeth. They mistake calm for weakness, stability for obedience. They think because you don't scream, you don't keep score. I let Emma sleep in the next morning. School was out, and honestly, neither of us needed to rush back into the world yet. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and finally opened my phone. Big mistake. 72 unread messages. Group chat. Private texts. Missed calls stacked like dominoes. You're tearing this family apart. Ryan is devastated. It's Christmas. Grow up. Think about the kids. That last one made me laugh out loud. I scrolled until I found Ryan's message. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Mom cried all night. Fix this. No apology. No mention of Emma. Just damage control. I locked my phone and stared out the window, watching frost melt off the grass. And that's when something clicked into place. There was something my family didn't know about me. Not because I hid it, but because they never cared enough to ask. Before Emma was born, before my divorce, before I became the sensitive sister, I built my career quietly. I worked my way up from assistant to project manager in a logistics firm that handled contracts most people never even think about. I learned how money moves, how deals are made, how quickly things fall apart when trust disappears. And more importantly, Ryan worked in that world too. My younger brother had been trying, loudly, to launch his own consulting business for the past year. Big talk. Fancy LinkedIn posts. Constant bragging at family dinners about potential investors and major Q1 opportunities. What no one realized was that one of those opportunities ran straight through me. Not directly. Not in a way that screamed nepotism, but through a vendor partnership I oversaw. A contract his entire business plan depended on. I hadn't pulled strings. I hadn't cut corners. He earned it, technically, but I was the one who made sure his proposal even got read. And that morning, sitting alone at my kitchen table while my daughter slept down the hall, I opened my laptop. I didn't rush. I didn't act angry. I acted professional. I reviewed emails, timelines, clauses. Then I drafted one message. Due to concerns regarding values alignment, we're reevaluating all active partnerships effective immediately. I stared at the screen for a full minute before hitting send. My phone rang less than 5 minutes later. Ryan. I let it ring. Then again. Then Mom. Then my aunt. Then Ryan again. Emma wandered into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. Why does your phone keep buzzing? She asked. I closed my laptop. Because people are realizing I'm serious. She frowned. About what? I crouched down in front of her. About protecting you. She nodded slowly, like she was filing that away for later. By noon, the tone of the messages changed. Less yelling. More panic. Let's talk like adults. This is getting out of hand. You're being unreasonable. At 1:17 p.m., Ryan finally texted something different. Can we meet? Just us. I'll apologize. I stared at that word. Apologize. Not to Emma. Not for what he said. Just apologize. Like it was a bargaining chip. I typed back one sentence. What would you say to my daughter? 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Nothing else came through. That was my answer. That afternoon, Emma and I baked cookies. She rolled the dough too thin, burned the first batch, laughed when the smoke alarm went off. Normal stuff. But underneath it, there was a hum, like the air before a storm. Around 6 p.m., my phone buzzed with an email. Subject line, urgent, contract review. I opened it. Ryan had been removed from consideration. Effective immediately. Emma watched my face. Is that bad? She asked. For someone, I said carefully. Yeah. She tilted her head. For us. I smiled. No, baby. For us, it's done. That night, as I tucked her into bed, she looked up at me and said something I'll never forget. Mom, thank you for choosing me. I kissed her forehead and turned off the light, but as I walked back down the hall, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Ryan. It was my mother. And the message she sent? That's when I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. I didn't open my mom's message right away. I already knew the vibe. I could practically hear her voice in my head, wounded, dramatic, somehow still making herself the victim. I finished the dishes first, wiped down the counter, made sure Emma was settled in her room watching a movie. Only then did I sit down and open the text. You have gone too far. Whatever you think you're doing, you need to undo it. Now. No, how's Emma? No, I'm sorry. Just orders. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Mom again. I answered this time, put her on speaker, and sat at the kitchen table like I was clocking into a meeting. Lauren, she started immediately, voice shaking. Ryan just called me crying. His contract was pulled. His business is falling apart. I waited. You did this, she continued. You're punishing him over one stupid comment. One comment, I repeated. About my child. She exhaled sharply. You're acting like he hit her. No, I said. He told her she didn't matter. That's not what he meant. It's what he said. Silence stretched between us. Then she tried a new angle. He's your brother, she said softly. Family forgives. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Family protects kids. Everything else comes second. Her voice hardened. You're ruining Christmas. And for what? To prove a point. I glanced down the hallway toward Emma's room, where I could hear her laughing at something on TV. For her, I said. To show her she's not disposable. Mom scoffed. She's a child. She'll forget. That's when my hands started shaking. No, I said quietly. She won't. I still remember things you said to me when I was her age. That landed. She went quiet, then defensive. That was different. It wasn't, I replied. You just didn't think it mattered. She hung up on me. Again. And for the first time in my life, I didn't chase after her approval. The next morning, the family group chat went nuclear. My aunt accused me of blackmail. My cousin said I was weaponizing motherhood. Someone actually typed, "Kids need thicker skin." I muted the chat. At 11 a.m., there was a knock on my door. Not a polite knock. A frantic one. I looked through the peephole. Ryan. He looked rough. Hoodie wrinkled. Eyes red. The confident, loud brother I'd grown up with was gone. I opened the door but didn't step aside. "Can I come in?" he asked. "No." He swallowed. "Lauren, please. We need to talk." "We're talking," I said. He ran a hand through his hair. "This is insane. You're destroying my livelihood over a misunderstanding." "Over my daughter," I corrected. He sighed. "She's a kid. She shouldn't even know about adult conversations." "She knows because you said it to me," I snapped. "And then you doubled down." His voice rose. "It was Christmas stress. I didn't mean it like that." "Then why didn't you apologize to her?" I asked. He opened his mouth, closed it. Nothing came out. "I'll say sorry now," he offered quickly. "I'll call her. I'll say whatever you want." "Whatever you want." Like she was a PR problem. I shook my head. "You don't get access to her to fix your mess." He stepped closer. "You think you're some hero here? You think you're teaching her strength? You're teaching her to cut people off." "Yes," I said calmly, "when they hurt you and refuse to take responsibility." His face twisted. "You always think you're better than us." "No," I said. "I just think my kid deserves basic respect." He laughed bitterly. "You're really going to let this ruin everything?" I looked him dead in the eye. "You ruined this when you decided my daughter didn't belong." He stared at me, searching for hesitation. There was none. Behind him, a car slowed down. Neighbors probably listening. I didn't care. He stepped back, anger flashing. "Mom's never going to forgive you." I shrugged. "That's her choice." He stood there another second, then turned and walked away. When I closed the door, my knees went weak. I leaned against it, breathing hard. Emma appeared at the end of the hallway. "Was that Uncle Ryan?" she asked. "Yes." "Is he mad?" I knelt in front of her. "He's uncomfortable." She thought about that, then nodded. "Good." I smiled. That night, I got an email. From Ryan's partner. Short. Professional. They were officially cutting ties. And that's when I knew. My family wasn't just angry anymore. They were scared. And the next move they made, it crossed a line they couldn't come back from. I should have known they wouldn't stop. People who've never been told no don't suddenly learn boundaries. They look for leverage. The morning after Ryan showed up at my door, I was making pancakes when my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. I almost ignored it. Almost. I answered, balancing the spatula in my other hand. "Hello. Lauren Mitchell?" a woman asked, crisp and professional. "Yes. This is Denise Walker with Child and Family Services." The spatula slipped from my hand and clattered onto the stove. "I'm calling regarding a report that was made about your daughter, Emma." My heart dropped straight into my stomach. "A report about what?" I asked, already knowing. "Concerns were raised about emotional instability in the home," she continued, "specifically regarding exposure to adult conflict during the holidays." I leaned against the counter to stay upright. "Who made this report?" I asked. "I'm not authorized to disclose that," she replied gently. But I do need to schedule a wellness visit. The pancakes burned. I didn't care. After I hung up, I stood there shaking, not scared of CPS, but furious at who would weaponize them. There was only one family that knew enough to even try this. Emma walked in, rubbing her eyes. "Why do you look mad?" I knelt down and hugged her so tight she squeaked. "Nothing you need to worry about," I said. "Grown-ups being messy." She pulled back and studied my face. "Is it because of them?" I nodded. Her jaw tightened in a way no 11-year-olds should. "That's messed up." "Yeah, kid. It really was." An hour later, Mom called. I answered immediately. "Was this you?" I asked, skipping pleasantries. Silence. Then, "We were just worried about Emma," she said carefully. I laughed, loud and sharp. "You called CPS." "We didn't know what else to do," she snapped. "You're isolating her. You're unstable right now." "That's rich," I said. "You tell her she doesn't matter, then call authorities when I protect her?" "You're twisting everything," Mom insisted. "Ryan is under incredible stress." "Not my problem," I said. "And definitely not Emma's." Mom's voice went cold. "If you don't fix this, you're going to lose your family." I took a breath. "Then I guess we'll be just fine without it." She hung up. I sat at the table and stared at the wall until Emma climbed into my lap like she used to when she was little. "Am I in trouble?" she whispered. "No," I said firmly. "You are loved. You are safe. And I've got you." The CPS visit happened 2 days later. Denise showed up right on time. Calm, kind, professional. She talked to Emma alone for 10 minutes, then to me. Emma told her everything. The phone call, the invitation, the dinner exclusion, how it made her feel. Denise nodded the whole time. At the end, she smiled gently and said, "Your daughter feels very supported." Case closed. But the damage, that stuck. That night, I sat on my bed and realized something important. This wasn't about one comment anymore. It wasn't even about Christmas. This was about control. And they had just shown me how far they were willing to go to get it. I opened my laptop and started making changes. Emergency contacts, updated. School pickup list, revised. Medical permissions, restricted. I documented everything. Screenshots, call logs, dates. Not for revenge, for protection. Because when people try to take your child from you emotionally, they don't get second chances. The next morning, a message popped up from my aunt. "You really went too far involving the state." I typed back one sentence. "You involved the state. I defended my child." No reply. By evening, Ryan texted me. "This has gone nuclear. Mom's a wreck. You need to stop." I stared at the screen, then blocked his number. One by one, I blocked them all. And for the first time since Christmas Eve, the house felt quiet. Not lonely. Peaceful. But deep down, I knew something else was coming. Because people like them don't accept silence. They escalate. And the next thing they tried. That was the moment I realized I would never go back. Not now. Not ever. Blocking them felt like flipping a breaker switch. 1 second, constant noise. The next, dead quiet. No calls. No texts. No, just checking in guilt bombs disguised as concern. Just peace. And it messed with them. Because when people are used to pushing your buttons, silence is the one thing they can't stand. 3 days passed. Then 4. Emma went back to being a kid again. Laughing louder. Sleeping better. Not flinching every time my phone buzzed, because it didn't anymore. On the 5th day, I got an email. From my dad. Subject line. Can we talk? That alone told me everything. My dad never emailed. He barely texted. He was the type to stay quiet until things got bad, then swoop in like the voice of reason. I waited an hour before replying. You can talk. I'm not negotiating. We met at a diner halfway between our houses. The kind with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tastes like it's been there since the 90s. He looked older than I remembered. Tired. Smaller. I don't recognize this family anymore, he said after we sat down. I stirred my coffee. I don't either. He sighed. Your mother's a mess. Ryan's business is spiraling. People are taking sides. I looked up. And Emma. He blinked. What about her? That's the problem, I said. He rubbed his face. Lauren, calling CPS was extreme. I agree, I said, which is why I didn't do it. He flinched. Do you know what that did to her? I asked quietly. To know her own grandmother would rather risk tearing her world apart than admit she was wrong? He looked down at the table. I raised you better than this, he said. I met his eyes. You raised me to stand up for what's right. I'm doing exactly that. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Your mother wants a family meeting. One last chance to clear the air. I didn't answer right away. Emma's face flashed in my mind. The way she asked if she was in trouble. The way she said, Thank you for choosing me. No, I said finally. Dad frowned. You can't cut everyone off forever. Watch me, I said calmly. He leaned back, frustrated. You're blowing up decades of family over one holiday. No, I said again. I'm ending decades of minimizing. That hit harder than I expected. He paid the check without another word. When I got home, Emma was sprawled on the living room floor doing a puzzle. Did you see Grandpa? She asked. Yes. Is he mad? I smiled sadly. He's confused. She nodded. People get like that when they're not used to consequences. I stared at her. Who taught you that? She shrugged. You. A week later, the ripple effects started showing up. My aunt stopped hosting Sunday dinners. Cousins stopped texting. Group chats went dead. And then, the final attempt. A handwritten letter arrived in the mail. My mom's handwriting. I didn't open it right away. I set it on the counter and stared at it like it might explode. Emma noticed. What's that? A choice, I said. That night, after she went to bed, I opened it. 3 pages. Tears. Guilt. Blame. Apologies that weren't really apologies. And one line that sealed it. If you don't let this go, you're going to turn Emma against us. I folded the letter carefully and put it back in the envelope, because that told me everything. They weren't sorry for what they did. They were scared of losing control. The next morning, I wrote one final message. To everyone. My daughter is not a lesson, a bargaining chip, or collateral damage. Until you can respect that, we're done. Then I blocked the last remaining numbers. Emma watched me hit the final block. Is that it? She asked. Yes, I said. That's it. She smiled, small but real. But what none of them realized yet was how much their lives were about to change without us in them. Because cutting contact wasn't the end. It was the beginning. People love to ask one question when you cut off family. Was it worth it? They ask it like they're expecting regret. Like you're supposed to flinch. Like losing people who hurt you should feel worse than losing your peace. Here's the truth. The first few weeks were quiet in a way that felt unfamiliar. No holidays to dread. No group chats blowing up over nothing. No walking on eggshells, waiting for the next comment disguised as a joke. Just space. And in that space, Emma bloomed. She stopped asking if she was allowed to feel things. She laughed without checking my face first. She stopped shrinking herself in rooms that no longer existed. One night in January, we were eating mac and cheese on the couch when she said, completely out of nowhere, "You know what I like about our house?" "What?" I asked. "It's calm," she said. "No one's mad all the time." That right there. That was my answer. The fallout on their side was loud, though. I heard about it through the grapevine. Families always find a way to leak information. Ryan's business never recovered. Once the partnerships dried up, so did the confidence. Turns out, being the golden boy doesn't help when people start seeing how you treat those with less power. Mom tried to host Easter dinner. No one came. Dad stopped calling altogether. I think it was easier for him to disappear than admit he'd stayed silent too long. And here's the thing that surprised me the most. I didn't miss them. I missed the idea of them. The version I kept hoping they'd become. But that family, the real one, I let it go. Emma started middle school in the fall. New backpack. New friends. New confidence. She joined the art club and started staying late after school because she wanted to, not because she felt invisible at home. One afternoon, while we were driving back from Target, she said, "Mom, I don't feel bad anymore." "About what?" I asked. "About not being invited." I gripped the steering wheel a little tighter. "Good." She smiled. "I think they needed us more than we needed them." Out of the mouths of kids, right? On Christmas Eve this year, exactly 1 year after everything went down, we did something different. No big family dinner. No forced smiles. No pretending. We ordered takeout, wore mismatched pajamas, and built a lopsided gingerbread house that collapsed halfway through. At one point, Emma looked at me and said, "I like this Christmas better." I did too. And here's what I learned through all of it. Protecting your child will cost you people. Let them go. Because anyone who needs you to sacrifice your kid's emotional safety for their comfort was never family to begin with. I didn't lose a family. I chose one. And if you're listening to this right now, wondering if you're a bad person for finally setting boundaries, let me say this clearly. You're not cruel. You're not dramatic. You're not selfish. You're a parent. And if this story hit home for you, if you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting someone who depends on you, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to the channel, Silent Revenge Lab, because stories like this matter, and you're not alone in them. Sometimes the loudest revenge isn't yelling. It's walking away. And never looking back.